All right, let's just jump right in. What we're talking about today, it's so much more than just a single game. This is about a moment that sent like a massive shockwave through a global sport. It's a night that people might look back on years from now as the unlikely origin story of a brand new powerhouse. And that quote, that really sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? Because this isn't a story about who won or who lost. It's about a script that was already written, a story that was supposed to go one way, and then out of nowhere, it just didn't. We're talking about a single night that basically threw decades of history right out the window. So, to really get why this was so mind blowing, you gotta understand the world of cricket first. For a very, very long time, it's followed this predictable script. You've got a handful of powerful, historic nations that have always run the show, always dominated the conversation, and always won the big trophies. Yeah, these are kind of the unwritten rules of the sport. There's a very clear pecking order. New teams, they're allowed to show up, sure, but they're not really expected to make any waves or disrupt the established order. And the USA, in the world of cricket, they were basically invisible. Okay, so that brings us to the matchup itself. And this was a confrontation that, on paper, didn't even look like a fair fight. It looks like a total foregone conclusion. The gap between these two teams in terms of history, reputation, just raw skill, it was absolutely massive. I mean, look at this. It just lays it all out. On one side, you've got Pakistan. We're talking former world champions, a country where cricket is just part of their DNA, a history packed with absolute legends of the game. And then, on the other side, the United States, a team that's still developing, with hardly any international experience, and a roster that, let's be honest, even die-hard cricket fans probably couldn't name. It was the definition of David versus Goliath. So here's the key thing to remember. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was debating how this would end. The script felt completely written. Everyone just assumed it would be an easy, straightforward win for Pakistan. And that assumption, well, it was about to be completely blown apart. All right, let's get into the match itself, because this is where things start to unravel. And we're not going to get bogged down in the stats or the scoreboard here. What we're focusing on is the feeling, the atmosphere, that exact moment when the world's perception just started to flip on its head. Right from the first few moments of the game, something just felt off. In a good way, the American team, they didn't look scared. They didn't play like they were just happy to be on the same field. There was no hesitation, no fear of these legendary opponents. They played like they belonged there. Every huge upset has that one tipping point. It's that moment when everyone watching, in the stadium, at home, the question in their head changes from, could this happen? To, wait, is this actually happening? And in this game, you could feel that moment. It was absolutely undeniable. And this right here, this just nails the complete psychological flip that was happening out there. Pakistan walked onto that field expecting to defend their status, their dominance, but all of a sudden, they were the ones scrambling, just trying to get control of the game. And the US team, the team that was supposed to just hang on for dear life, they were the ones dictating everything. The roles had totally 100% reversed. And look, we have to be super clear about this. This was not a fluke. It wasn't just a lucky break. What blew everyone's minds was the sheer discipline from the American side. We're talking controlled bowling, really smart field placements, and making calm decisions under unbelievable pressure. This was a skilled, calculated performance, and it forced the entire world to ask, wait a minute, have we all just completely underestimated American cricket? So as this impossible thing started looking more and more real, the reaction was just instantaneous, and it was global. This wasn't some little local story. The entire cricketing world literally stopped what it was doing to tune in. I mean, this quote, it just says everything, right? It didn't matter if you were an expert commentator or just a fan on social media. Everyone was thinking the same thing. It was one of those really rare moments of just collective global shock. No one's prediction models saw this, no expert called it. It came from completely out of nowhere. So here's a really important way to think about this. It's so easy to just call this a story of Pakistan failing, but that kind of misses the whole point. The real story here is that the enormous gap that everyone just assumed was there, it wasn't. It had vanished. And that realization, that's way more powerful than any single win or loss. And that's what brings us to the real legacy of this game. Years from now, people aren't going to remember the exact score. But what they will remember is this night.
They'll remember it as a foundational moment, as the origin story for cricket in America.
Think about it. Every major sporting country has a moment just like this one. For India, it was winning the World Cup back in '83. That one victory just lit a fire and created a whole generation of fans and players. For Sri Lanka, their big win in '96 literally changed the way the game was played. While this win for the USA, it feels like it belongs right there with them. It's that moment where a country announces its arrival.
You know, for years and years, whenever the people who run global cricket talked about the United States, they used one phrase, a potential market. It was all about a business opportunity, right? A place to sell shirts and TV rights.
But on this one night, all of that changed. The USA stopped being a spreadsheet, and it became a real, legitimate cricketing nation. And the best part? They didn't do it with marketing or some big PR campaign. They did it with their performance right there on the field. They flat out earned it.
So this win, it's not the end of the story. It's not the final chapter of some long journey. Not at all. It's the very first page. It's the beginning of belief. Belief inside that team for sure, but also belief from the rest of the world that maybe, just maybe, American cricket is here for real.
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. This whole thing was about so much more than just a cricket match. It's a perfect example of what can happen when a story that everyone thinks they know suddenly gets a brand new, unexpected author. And it just makes you wonder, right? What happens when history, which is so often written by just a few, is suddenly challenged by the many?